Let's go.
All right.
Good morning. Welcome back to the pod. Matt, Kim, Peter, Saddington.
What's up?
It's been a crazy January 2024.
Already.
It's like flown by. And so, we're 10 days in. It's flown by.
But you're basically halfway through January, though, man. It's so much has happened.
Before we start, I want to just a couple quick announcements. I think we should do that. We can just kind of roll into it these days and couple quick announcements. Number one, first podcast of January. Welcome.
Welcome, guys. Happy New Year's to everybody.
Hope everyone is hitting the gym and doing their New Year's resolution that they promised to do.
Can I just say, even after 10 days into January, I've already seen the flood of gym people already just start to be decimated over the last 10 days, man.
But it's been cold. It's been rainy.
I've gone to the gym, the last 10 days, I've gone to the gym 5 times. And the first 3 days was just like packed. Now it's back to normal. People are giving up so much too easy these days, man.
Don't be a quitter. Nobody likes a quitter.
Seriously, though. Seriously, don't quit, man. Keep going.
Secondly, we have been streaming on Rumble. So if you want to check out the stream, definitely go there. It's Matt Kim Podcast on Rumble. Sometimes we will cross it into YouTube. Sometimes we'll cross it into Twitter. Sometimes we won't. Just depends on what the content is. And if it's on YouTube, typically they have to get deleted immediately because sometimes we get into topics that are not technically algorithmic friendly.
Not safe for YouTube.
I've also been playing on TikTok a lot these days.
Crushing it.
TikTok has been a lot of fun. Can I tell you something? I think TikTok has the best technology.
Why?
Because it is the most immersive and interactive. They have, if I had to rank in order, the best technologies, TikTok would definitely be a clear number one. I don't think it's even close.
Whenever you load up TikTok, they're always serving up the lives. And it's just, they're so good at getting you into it, man.
They do their version of Spaces, but it also has the ability for video. So you can host a space or host a live, have 8 or up to 8 people in there, and you can have discussion, conversation. These are getting really popular. And it's been a lot of fun. So I've been hanging out there, jumping into other people's streams, and I've also been sitting there listening to like the extreme crazy left liberal streams too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Are you learning anything?
I'm learning their side and their perspective, and most importantly, their talking points. Because if you listen to enough of a certain topic, you get a feeling of what they're all saying. And then it gives you an idea of what you need to do to counter it.
That makes me think. You should interview Destiny. You've heard of Destiny.
Dude,
The purple hair, blue hair guy.
I watched part of his the Destiny and Alex Jones January 6th stream.
Yep.
I couldn't do it, man.
Well, the problem is there's just too much middle school back and forth of like, no, you. It degenerated into a non-conversation. That was the problem.
It was just yelling over each other constantly.
And Glenn was the smartest guy there, and he got the least amount of airtime.
Well, he was supposed to be the moderator, and he did very little moderation.
Yeah.
That's the problem. And then the brothers, those are just cucks. Those guys, I actually blocked one of them on Twitter. I don't know which one, but one of them is so annoying, and Twitter just constantly feeds you them.
Yeah, why?
I don't know why. I don't know why they're like the pet of Twitter.
It's not our audience. Why do you keep feeding us these Krasenstein guys?
I keep on getting fed their content. So I had to block one of them. I couldn't take both of them. It was too much. It was overload. So I had to block one. I don't know which one I blocked, to be honest.
But here, the thing is that their tweets, their posts are nonsensical, number one. But number two, they literally read like a script. It's like, brother, did you actually just copy and paste this into your post? I know you got paid $15,000 for this, but come on, do a little bit of thinking.
Those brothers are literally the definition of propagandists.
Absolutely, 100%.
And I can tolerate one because I'm curious to know. I couldn't take the double. I just couldn't. I couldn't do it. I blocked one. Again, I have no idea which one because to me they're the same.
They are.
It's just mimicking of each other. So I was like, this one, fine, block.
And the thing is they bought those followers. Did you know that?
No.
Internet sleuths found out that they bought Twitter accounts that had high follower rates, and then they just started spamming. So they got a boost in the beginning. Not everyone. Their audience isn't as big as we believe. Let's put it that way. But Twitter keeps pushing them though,
because they don't have any original ideas. They just regurgitate talking points of information. So I don't feel like I get any value. If they were at least
just follow
somewhat
Biden.
smart, like Destiny, he speaks well, and he at least gives his own interjections of thoughts.
Yes.
I don't agree with probably 90% of what he does, but I can actually tolerate the guy.
Yeah.
Because although I don't agree with him, I feel like he's thinking.
That's why I said I think you should interview him, because I think he would give a fresh perspective. Even if you guys disagree, I think he's matured in his communication. He's mature because he's been doing a lot of podcasts. He's matured in his patience, and so I think you'd end up having a good conversation with him regardless. You should reach out to the other end of the aisle, man. You don't think so? Is he not categorically a free thinker? Is that why?
Death by 1,000 cuts. You
can only take so much. Even Matt's human, guys. Even Matt's human.
I also actually want to do the next big conversation that I'm thinking in my head that I haven't started yet, but this is an idea. I'm just going to throw it by you. Here in Georgia, our congresswoman, do you know who she is?
Which one?
In Gwinnett.
No.
Lucy McBath.
Oh, I've heard that name. Yeah.
Where I currently, and I've lived in Gwinnett County for the last 12 years. This is where our studio is, Gwinnett County. So she is our U.S. House Representative, Lucy McBath. Where I live currently in Hall County, it is Andrew Clyde.
Okay.
Andrew Clyde is our representative of Northern Georgia, which starts at Beaufort and Hall County. I'm going to make a video where I invite both to come in and have a conversation because they're on opposite sides.
Yeah, that's legit.
I think it's even more interesting because Andrew Clyde owns gun shops. And the reason that Lucy McBath, her entire platform is that she is for gun reform because her son died in a shooting.
Oh.
So they sit on polar opposites of this. Lucy McBath is 100% in the machine with Biden.
Yeah.
And votes everything. She's a part of the Congressional Black Caucus.
Okay.
And he is part of the Freedom Caucus, which is like kind of the extreme right, which I think a lot of us more here relate to. So I think it'd be interesting to get the two congressmen or congress people that represent literally where we live. And Lucy McBath, this Georgia office is in Duluth, literally 2 miles from here.
Nice.
There's no reason she should say no.
No reason.
So I'm going to make a public post. I'm going to call them both out. And my ending is going to be, if you don't show up, I may just run and take your spot.
Hello. Bow, 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 bow. Matt for Congress.
And I feel like Andrew Clyde will accept because I've watched a bunch of his clips. I've been going through both their Twitters. I feel like if you challenge him, he's the type of guy that will say, yeah, I'm down.
I like that idea. For everybody out there who's listening, watching, let us know in the comments if you think this is a great idea. Hit us up on Discord. Let us know. Thumbs it up. I think this is a great idea.
Yeah, because
they're the local yokels.
Yeah, and Georgia is changing so fast. These are the people that we've elected to represent us in Congress and in Washington. I feel like if we push, they should come and have a conversation.
I like that.
And we will make one side blue, one side red, and let's talk about some issues that matter to us here locally.
Exactly.
So that's my idea. That's what I've been churning in my mind.
I think that'd be a great idea because then you can moderate and just ask really tough questions and have them just listen to what their narrative is, their spiel.
Let's do it.
All right, let's do it, guys. Let us know in the comments. Thumbs it up, guys. Heart it, whatever you need.
So today, I want to talk about immigration and the border.
Tough topic.
It's a tough topic. We have approximately 8 to 10 million people. And that number, no one really knows what the number is. If you ask one person, they may say it's like 4 million. You ask another person, they'll say like it's 20 million. The reality is there is no way to know.
Nobody knows.
Nobody knows. Anywhere in that 10-ish million range of people have come into this country. And you can't technically say they're here illegally because the administration has let them in.
Yes.
It's one thing if they all came in and dug tunnels, we literally opened the door.
So I think where we can land objectively is that they're undocumented.
Correct.
Listen, guys, everybody out there, they're undocumented. How you want to qualify that is depending on your worldview. But I think the fact that you and I can both agree on is we have millions of people undocumented coming into the country. Now, let's quarrel. Let's fight.
Okay.
Let's fight about it.
So I don't know for sure. I feel like we'll have different opinions on why they're here. Why do you think they're here?
Well, let's start off with this. There is a website that I looked at a couple months ago, and I forget what it is and what it's called, but you guys can look it up. Will, maybe you can look it up, Google it. But it shows how many people are on the waiting list to get into America legally through the right documentation processes. And a lot of these people on this list are truly what the mainstream media is telling us, which is they're doctors, they're lawyers, they actually want to work in America. So we have this huge list of tens of thousands, maybe even hundreds of thousands of individuals who legitimately are on a waiting list, have gone through the right due process, have submitted their application to come to America under a work visa, under a student visa, what have you. And so we have these legitimate people that are waiting to get into America, and they've done it in the right way. Now, what we have is undocumented individuals coming across the border. We have no idea if it's 5 million, 10 million, 30 million, who knows? Why are they coming into America? My opinion, very simple. They have seen America on mainstream media, on MTV, where am I? MTV doesn't exist anymore.
20 years ago.
Yeah, 20 years ago. They've seen all the glitz and the glamour of America. Roads paved with gold, opportunities, lots of booty, lots of hoes, lots of, all this stuff. And I think that is the simple, aesthetic, very surface level reason why these people are coming in here, because it's an opportunity for them to earn more money, have a good life, and hang out with bitches. Like, seriously.
Then why are we as a country letting them in?
Oh, we're letting them in because we have a federal government who isn't taking our border seriously. And if I remember correctly, someone can spot check me on this. I believe the border wall would cost us a total of $5 billion.
A drop in the bucket compared to what we send for other people's borders.
Yes. So the issue isn't the cost of the border. It's a political issue. It's been completely politicized beyond recognition. And so we now live in a world where our borders are literally open, and we have hordes of individuals, undocumented individuals. There's no qualification. I'm not saying they're good or bad. I'm just saying we have undocumented individuals who are streaming across the border. I believe they're coming here for a better opportunity. Let's just put it that way. Now, whether they come across the border for a better opportunity and they actually add value to the American, culture, to the American experiment, that is subject to debate.
There are a lot of people coming here. And what I've noticed is that there's a trend globally. Every developed country seems to be importing immigrants.
Yes.
That's what it feels like.
We are probably a decade behind Europe. Europe has been doing this for a longer period than we have, and we've seen the statistics. These individuals are not assimilating, number one, to the regional culture or the country that they're immigrating to or coming into. And frankly, they're creating a huge cost on the taxpayers, on the residents, and the individuals who live in these countries, and it's not good. If we want to go into crime statistics, I think you've seen them as well. The crime statistics in France, the crime statistics in England, the crime statistics in Germany, they're all rising in the wrong way. And a lot of the crime statistics are singling out, maybe because they're creating the crime, these immigrants. And so it's not a good thing. It's shown over in Europe that all of these individuals are not adding value to those countries. Rather, they are sucking the resources from those countries. And so if we were to look at Germany and France Italy and UK as examples. That's where we're headed as America. We have these millions of undocumented individuals streaming across the border. They don't speak English. In a lot of ways, they don't have good technical skills. They don't have good trade skills. And so the question is, what do you do with all these individuals who don't speak English and can't add value to the American experiment? That, I think, is the biggest issue that people need to come to terms with.
Do you know what the official language of the United States is?
I mean, I'm going to say English, but if that's not the official language of America, then where the hell have I been?
The official language of the United States is, we don't have one.
Oh. We should, though.
We don't. Some states, there's a few states, maybe, Will, you can find out which states where it is the official language. But the United States of America does not officially have an official language.
Really?
Yeah. English isn't. That's why all the federal governments are required to be in all the languages.
Ah, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Because we say they come here and they don't speak English. Actually, they don't have to.
They don't have to.
Yeah, which I didn't know that either.
I've just learned something here, brother.
Yeah, because when I was making these, these Spanish clips online, and I got a bunch of people saying, no, like they should come here and they should learn English. And I was like, I get it. And I looked like, what is the official language? Like it's such an obvious thing. Like, why am I even looking this up? Right. And I did. And I was like, holy shit. There's no official language. English is not the official language of the United States.
I wonder if that was substantiated because of the early immigration where we had people coming from all over the place, from all over Europe, all over Asia, hundreds of years ago, hundreds, not that long ago. But yeah, maybe that's why, because we had a lot of Germans, we had a lot of Polish, we had a lot of, Asians that were imported over here. I mean, that makes sense. I guess that makes sense.
Official English. So Alabama, Alaska, Arizona. It's not in Connecticut. It's not in Delaware. Hawaiian is a native language of Hawaiian.
That makes sense.
Maine doesn't have one. Louisiana doesn't have one. Yeah, like half the states. Wow. There is no official language. And it's on a state regulated level.
But if you look at the patterns without, Ohio, Oklahoma, Oregon, if you remove those, the patterns generally is the northern states and the democratic states are the ones. Well, we have Texas. Texas.
I think it's just completely mixed.
Wow, you're right. It is mixed.
I think it's something that at some point, somewhere they decide, hey, we should do this. But it's actually not that big of a thing.
So 2007, Idaho established English as their official language. Same with Kansas. And so I'm looking at the dates here. So it looks like 2007 was the most recent update from some states where they moved to English being the official language. But all the others are in the 90s and 80s. Wow. Yeah. I didn't know this.
Yeah, and that's on the state level. At a federal level, the United States does not have an official language. English is the most widely used language in the U.S., and some states designate it as their official language.
So let me ask you this. Have you been to Miami recently?
Yes.
Man.
Well, kind of recently.
So I go there probably once a quarter. And I'll tell you, man, you need to know Spanish down there.
You would enjoy Miami much more if you spoke only Spanish versus only English.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true.
So I guess it makes sense on some sort of molecular level. If you live in the middle of Tennessee, and you're like, why doesn't everyone speak English? I get what you're saying because everyone around you speaks English. But when you look at the United States as a whole, like a lot of people speak Spanish.
I can actually extract kind of a good idea, like a positive idea from this, in that it allows the states. This is good. It allows the states to determine what language they believe, and hopefully there's some voting behind this at some level. But it's good because it shows that it allows states, and we're not having a federal hierarchy saying we must do X or we must do Y, because we've had enough of that. So it's nice that each state has the ability and autonomy to make those decisions as to what type of language they in your state select as the official language that you should speak.
And most of it's not like other states chose Spanish as their official. They just don't have one.
At the same time, it also shows the decentralization of America, and that's also a good point, because you're gonna have dissenting views all over America in different regions in different states, and so it shows that there is truly a multicultural melting pot that America still believes and still holds to be true.
So going back to immigration, it almost feels like the developed nations of the world are competing with one another for immigrants. Right?
Interesting.
Because everyone is trying to get them in. Everyone is opening up their borders as wide as possible. You only open up as wide as possible if you're trying to consume the most.
So let me step back a second. You asked me, why do I think these tens of millions of individuals, undocumented individuals, are streaming across America's border? I told you in what I think is pretty clear is they believe still that America is the land of opportunity, and they can have better opportunity here than anywhere else. Let me posit it back to you. Why do you think we have tens of millions of undocumented individuals streaming across the border?
Well, I think the reason is the same. People come to the United States because if you had a list of countries that you can migrate to, for most people, the United States is top of the list. That's what you grow up to believe, especially if you're from like a smaller country, maybe a rural area. Go to America is like the golden ticket.
So you and I were both born in Korea, right?
I was born here.
Oh, I was born in Korea. It doesn't matter. But you've spent enough time in Korea.
Yes.
You know that in Korea, it's still looked at like as a big deal to immigrate to America. Come to an American university, get an American education. It's like Korean culture is still hot on America.
Yes, all over the world. If you can live and grow up in America, you have the most opportunity.
No doubt.
And that's the belief, and there's not much you can do to shake that belief, because that's been indoctrinated in their minds and in their culture forever.
Okay, so let's get to the heart of what you just said previously, which is that these nations seem to be competing for the amount of people that they can import into their country. Let's take a pause there. And I believe, and all the internet sleuths out there, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but if I go through all the documentation, it seems like the immigration experiment is failing. Now, I gave some reasons, and I don't have all the statistics about it, but it seems like the immigration experiment into Europe, right? Italy, France, UK, Germany, it's failing. They're ending up in Switzerland too. Like, they're creating these ghettos, essentially, where these immigrants, migrants, refugees, okay, we're bundling them all together, are creating these ghettos where they're just given them money to survive. They're not adding value to the local economy, and it's creating a lot of division between the locals who've been there for generations and the new ones that are coming in. So all that to say, in my opinion, you can give me your opinion. It seems like the immigration experiment is a big F. It's a big fail. Like, nobody's winning here. Resources are getting sucked. The immigrants that are coming into these countries don't feel welcome. They're not assimilating 100%. And it just seems like it's not the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow that it was sold as. Does that make sense?
I think if you
or am I wrong in this?
No, I think if you look at it from the human person perspective, that makes your side and your argument makes plenty of sense. Actually, it makes the most sense. The policies that are enacted and bringing people into a country are not helpful to the people that currently live there or for the people that migrate there.
Yep.
From the people's side, the policies are horrible. From the other side, I think that's exactly what you want. Okay.
Tell me more. What does that mean?
Currently, the biggest problem that developed countries have in the world are birth rate. Right?
Not wrong.
In order for society to sustain, you need to have a birth rate. I think it's of 2.1 children
2.2,
per
yeah.
woman.
Yeah, 2.1.
So
2.2.
every man and woman couple needs to have at least more than 2 kids.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you would not be able to replace the 2 people that are there.
They're not replacing the parity. Yeah.
It's just math.
Yeah.
Right? Currently, the United States is sitting at like 1.6. We're half a kid away from being able to sustain society as a nation.
And most countries, most developed countries, are in the exact same spot.
Correct.
Right.
Most countries, and that puts the United States at the bottom, I think, quarter of the world.
Oh, really?
Korea is the worst at a 0.6.
Yeah.
birth rate.
Yeah, and I don't want to go
In Japan.
Yeah, in Japan too. I don't want to go too deep on this, but it really hurts my soul to know, according to the current trajectory in Korea, by 2100, in the next 60 years, essentially 80 years, next 60, 80 years, like their population is just going to be eviscerated.
Yeah, and I read that by 2100, if the United States retains this trajectory, that we would hit the inverse curve where you can't recover.
Yes. And so here's the question.
I think it was 2070, actually.
Is this here's the question. Is this the natural progression of humanity, in that, because someone would say that there have been, entire populations of the globe that have come before us. Some guys use words like Tartaria and all this other stuff. And that's what happened, is that they grew, technology grew, they grew, and the technology said, hey, you have technology now, you don't need to have kids anymore because of YouTube and because of Twitters, and, it's entertainment world. And they end up just killing themselves off because they're not replacing the birth rate. And so some, historians / conspiracy theory, whatever, they've been talking about how this is just the cycle of the globe. This is just how it works. And so we're just going to repeat the same thing. We've got technology, we got VR, you got AI now. You're speaking Spanish, right? I mean, and it looks good. But
Bueno.
Me gusta. Me gusta. And so maybe in the next 80, 100 years, we're just going to die out and it's just going to start all over again.
Or you start importing people to replace the people that you can't produce.
Yeah, but it's a whole different culture then, right?
I mean, if you have to survive, isn't that what they're doing?
Is the point to survive the nation at any cost?
Maybe. Like, why else are developed countries that all have low birth rates, right? It's the countries with the higher birth rates, the northern parts of Africa, they're in the 3s and 4s.
Yeah.
As far as replacement, as far as birth rate.
You're not wrong.
They're over double what the United States does.
Yeah, and the infrastructure and the buildings and the technology coming out of those areas are superior to everything.
Yeah, can you pull up a chart, Will?
Everything
of
else
the country's birth rate?
Come on. Let me come in. I'm kind of trying to crack a joke here, but like the countries that have high birth rates are not, they're not first world countries.
They're also not heavily relying on technology. They're also not living on screens, that they live their lives naturally and they're happy just to be alive.
Yeah.
I think there's something to say about that.
Maybe that's the better way to roll.
I don't know, because in Africa, their birth rate is like 3 to 4 children per woman.
Yeah.
And it seems like all the developing countries in the world are fighting for African migrants.
Yeah. So we're suiciding ourselves using technology.
There should be a chart somewhere. See if you can find a chart, Will. Just so we can just read the data. Yeah, so I feel like they are. And if that is true, and we are a population decline in this country, which we are, the only way to survive and keep civilization moving forward is that you have to import.
Okay.
It's easier to import than teach the people that you've convinced technology is better to give up their devices and start having relationships again.
Yeah.
What's easier? To get people offline, to convince people to have more children, to convince people to stop killing babies? Is that easier? Or is it easier just to be like, all right, do you know what? This year, we'll just let in 20 million people. And we don't have to deal with that harder problem.
So let's abstract a level higher. Some would say there are individuals, there are groups that are promoting, encouraging, and supporting these mass migrations of people. Because generally, people aren't that organized unless you have an organizer. And so there's been documentation that I've read that's, let's just say, some unscrupulous individuals that, may be part of the elite of the world.
Soros, Clinton?
Yes, potentially Soros, Clinton type of individuals are the ones that are encouraging, supporting, and promoting this, so that all these migrants and immigrants and all these people are being actually organized into America instead of just, everybody waking up and saying, I'm an autonomous human being. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to save up all my money for the next 5 years and pay $10,000 to this trafficker so he can get me across into America. I just have to believe that there are greater hands at work here, Matt, that are pushing this and pushing these migrants over to America. Does that make sense?
Oh, I think it's both. You open the door and you push. Right? If your door's open but no one's pushing, it's not happening. If you push but the doors aren't opening, it's not happening. You need both sides.
I see. Yes.
Let's look at the. You need both sides.
I see. Yes.
Let's look at the chart. Nigeria, 6.7 is their birth rate.
They're crushing the poontang.
Yeah, 6.1. Somalia, Central Africa, Mali, Angola, Nigeria.
Dude, you know
Mozambique, Afghanistan, Uganda, Cameroon, Senegal, Sudan, Guinea, Zambia. Look at all these countries that are clearly in the red.
Dude,
The green, in the blue. They're hanky-panky.
Dude, these guys are crushing the poon.
Yeah, crushing it. Crushing it.
And so let's take an overall view. These countries that are crushing the punani, who are having lots of babies, are not generally of the Christian worldview. Does that matter?
I don't know if that's true or not.
Scroll up. Go up to the top. Let's go over the top 15. Niger, Chad, Congo, Somalia, Mali, Central African Republic, Angola, Nigeria, Burundi, Benin, Burkina, Tanzania, Gambia, Mozambique, and Afghanistan and Uganda.
I would argue that they are countries that are more...
Ooh.
Right?
Yeah, you know.
None of the liberal developed countries are on that top list. Scroll down to the bottom. Well, let's see who's at the bottom.
Maybe I chose the wrong worldview. They are more conservative.
Go up a little bit so we can start at the top of the half. Yeah, below 2, right there. So as you go down, now we're getting into kind of the Central American countries, which is not as high as I thought.
India.
When you thought South America and all the Latin babies around that they would be high on the list, they're actually not.
Or not.
Because they are getting very liberal. Go down a little bit.
Turkey, Vietnam, Bahrain, El Salvador, France, Ireland, Malaysia, Mexico, Moldova. Yeah, these are not. They're definitely a little bit more industrialized than the African nations. That's for sure. We got Sweden at 141, 142. United States at 1.7. Australia, Belgium, Brazil. Yeah, they have cell phones. They have internets. They have the YouTubes. They have OnlyFans. So certainly Canada, Costa Rica, Cuba, Russia, Switzerland, Uruguay, Portugal. Yes. So it seems like the more industrialized nations, let's just put it that way, the more industrialized nations with a lot more, South Korea at the
China,
bottom.
1.2. China will not survive. They're going to need to start importing people too.
Man, but you've heard that a lot of the Chinese census and demographics information's all made up. Like they're not even close.
Well, some people say they estimate too high.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
like some estimates from what I heard, they're off by like 200 million.
Yeah.
So
they're off by the population of the United States, which is crazy.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's like Ukraine send him some weapons, fat finger.
Okay, so
we misplaced $6.7 billion.
We can create. I'm sure there's some guys who've done patterns on this, but we're taking it from a high level. It seems like, and I think you and I can agree, the more industrialized and technology centric countries have the lowest birth rates because they have the YouTubes, the Twitters, the OnlyFans, right? They have these things that take them away from what you say is family values, whole families, conservative maybe values. We'll put it that way. And so not Christian. That was probably the wrong word to use. But conservative values and home values. So it seems like once technology enters the arena, just kids take a back seat. Is that fair?
Can I say something really controversial? And I don't think it's controversial, but it's going to sound super controversial. I'm just putting asterisks on it because I don't mean it the way it sounds, but it's going to sound bad. But it's kind of true, but I don't mean it in the bad way. Can I say that? I want to put a huge disclaimer in front of that.
Jesus, what kind of preamble was that? Holy shit, this better be a good one for all that preamble.
Developed countries who are trying to import as many migrants as possible, they will be fighting for African migrants.
Fighting for African migrants.
They will be the most desired. because there's the most of them. According to the chart, they're reproducing at the highest rate.
Yeah.
We also know that
like
people in
6
Africa,
kids.
they are very conservative, that they work hard. And I feel like they're the ones, that's why they're letting them in everywhere.
Why? How is that controversial?
I don't know. When you say you're going to import black people, it doesn't sound good.
You didn't say import black people. now
That's not what I meant.
now you said it.
That's not what I meant.
But now you said it.
But you know what I mean.
Yeah, well, I do. Let's scroll
Yeah.
up again, Will. Let's scroll all the way to the top 15. The top 15, it's pretty clear that these are coming from African nations.
Yes.
Most of them, right? You're not seeing Latin, which I actually kind of surprises me. I
Yeah.
thought I was going to see a lot of Latin, like Argentina, Brazil.
Anyone over 4 birth rate of a 4, other than
Ivory Coast, Uganda, Cameroon, South Sudan.
outside of Afghanistan, it is all African countries.
Yeah, Togo, Zambia, Ethiopia, Liberia, Comoros.
You got to go really far down.
Holy smokes, bro.
Yeah.
So it's,
And they're the biggest continent. They also have the most resources.
you gotta love Niger. These guys are crushing it.
Crushing it.
6.7 kids per family?
Yeah.
Shit, dog.
And
what do they do? They just
I can't
they
clip this and put captions on it, by the
They
way.
just do the boom bang all day, man. I love it, man. These guys are getting that. Oh man, they're crushing that poon.
Yes.
Amazing. I mean, it's what's so interesting to me is we have number 2, 3, and 4 are Chad, Congo, Somalia at 6.1, but Niger, there's not even an incremental bump. It's 6.1 to 6.7. Those guys are crushing it, dude.
And
Man,
something I just noticed
they
on the
need
chart.
OnlyFans.
Look at 2021 to 2023. Actually, everyone has dropped. The whole world has dropped.
Oh, well, technology is expanding. Technology is expanding, and a lot of
Interesting.
these countries.
Those are big numbers in shift. Big shift in numbers.
Dude, we should find some. We should find you a guest from Niger, because it would be interesting.
Actually, Afghanistan. Oh yeah, no, it dropped.
It would be interesting to have someone who's recently come over from Niger or Chad or Congo, and just be like, hey, bro, like we're looking at this statistics. You tell us what you have seen and how you were raised on the ground, and is it? I mean, we're making a lot of assumptions from this data points, right? But it seems like you guys are just loving on each other. Tell me, what is the real on the ground in Niger? Because that's 6.7. That's like 7 kids per
woman.
family.
That's crazy. So we've been talking and going back and forth with Simon Atiba, who's the White House correspondent, who is with Africa News.
Yeah.
So I think this is a really good question to ask him.
We need to reach out, man. We need to reach out, bring him on the show.
Yeah.
Wait. I hope I'm not saying anything out of turn. Haven't you guys already talked about having him on the show?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're working on it. We just haven't scheduled a date yet. Vacation, holiday, etc.
I'd love to know
he's
his
down.
perspective.
Yeah, I'd like to ask him this too.
So, if America is importing all these undocumented individuals, and we're seeing from video evidence that a lot of it's coming from African countries, is that going to make America better?
Well, can I give another kind of weird take?
Well, it's Matt Kim podcast, so you can do whatever you want, brother.
America is importing the best migrants.
Why? How?
If you're coming from Northern Africa and you try to get into France, all you got to do is cross the border. It's actually pretty easy to do.
Fair enough.
To come from Congo and make it all the United States, you have to save up your money because it'll probably cost them $5,000 to $10,000 to make this journey. They only make $1 a day.
Yeah.
Their whole village is paying for this one guy to come. He's got to either hop a boat or get on a plane, make it somewhere into Central America, and then make the trip from Central America into the United States. He's actually resilient. Versus the lazier migrant who says, I'm going to go to France and just jumps on a little boat and crosses the border.
I see your point. That
You're
is an
actually
interesting
getting the
point.
ones that are willing to do the bigger journey and the ones that have to save more money in order to get here.
The counter argument to that would be that the invisible hands behind the curtains are deeply supporting these individuals to come from Africa into Latin America and then up Latin America to United States of America. So the counterpoint would be, well, maybe they're not the most resilient. Maybe they're not the most perseverant. Maybe they're not the smartest and best individuals because they have deep pockets behind them that are supporting them and pushing them over here.
If you are one of these people that traffic people around the world and you show up at a Congo village and you say, hey, we're going to pay for 5 people to go across the border into the United States. Say it happens. They're not going, oh yeah, take this guy that can't do anything. They're going, hey, who's the best we have?
Well, wait,
Because this guy can go there, make money, and send some back.
Hold your horses, though. The counter argument would be, yeah, get rid of Stu. Get rid of Timmy, because Timmy's a retard.
We hate Timmy. Get rid of Timmy.
Get rid of Timmy. Because let me hear the counter argument is, why would we want to send our best hunter over to America? If we send all of our best hunters and our best, father figures and our best leaders, then our tribe, our local area is going to be diminished because we end up with just Timmy.
I can't argue that. It's totally possible. But if you're a village and you have the opportunity to send just 1, 2, or 3 people, you're probably going to send your best. At least try to. Maybe you keep your best and you send your second best.
I would also add to that is that if you are at the alpha male versus a Timmy, right? If you're an alpha male in Niger or Congo, and you're assertive and you're industrious and you're hardworking, you would volunteer to go anyway. Because you'd be like, it's great here, guys. Like, it's been great.
I got something to do.
Yeah, man, this guy's offered me not free ride. I still got to work and I still got to do all the work. But like, he's giving me an opportunity. So in that argument, I'm actually agreeing with you. The best will come to America because they're the ones who are saying, yeah. If you're gonna offer up 5 guys, I want that slot, bro. It's like Willy Wonka in the Chocolate Factory. You give me that golden ticket, brother, I'm going.
So the problem with immigration and the border is, number one, we actually do need people to come here because the country itself is not reproducing at a rate fast enough to sustain society. This is like really high level stuff.
Yeah.
We don't have enough people.
The statistics are clear.
Yes.
We are dying.
Correct.
Period.
Statistics say we don't have enough people, therefore we need more people. The problem is how they're handling the immigration. But what if I was the federal government, I said, hey, we're just not reproducing at enough rate at the same time we're promoting things like abortion. We're not reproducing it's crazy.
That's crazy. Yeah.
We're not reproducing at a high enough rate. We're going to die as a society if we don't import people. So we're going to take your tax dollars and we're going to preemptively build out infrastructure. We're going to preemptively build new cities. We're going to preemptively get all these services in place. And once we do, we'll start importing people. No one's going to sign up with that. But you need the people.
Yeah.
So what do? You say, let them all in. And then we're going to there's a problem here. We will solve it for you.
We'll figure it out later.
Yes. Because if you led with the problem, no one's ever going to agree with the solutions. Right? No one's going to say, yeah, you're right. Let's build new cities and infrastructure for people that aren't here.
And that is what you just talked about, is the essential and most basic and most common trope of politicians. Politicians are not going to run on a ticket that says, hey guys, we're going to take all your tax money, and not a whole lot's going to get done in the near term because we're going to be using all your money to build out expensive and amazing infrastructure that you're not going to benefit from, and neither am I going to benefit from in my term because it's going to take us 7 to 10 years to build it. Like, that's the most unsexy thing that you run on. No, ain't nobody going to pre-build infrastructure to help out the future. That's never been on a politician's mind. They're always looking at the latest sticky issue of the day, short-term thinking, so you're not wrong.
Because let's be clear, they are deliberately letting this happen. They are deliberately bringing people in, and they are deliberately letting the chaos ensue.
Well,
for sure.
We have a federal government, if you've read the news, we have a federal government who's suing Texas for closing the border.
Yes.
Like, what is that's clown fiesta shit.
It's crazy. They create the problem, and then they will campaign on fixing it.
Yeah.
Which is bullshit. But I don't know. I don't know what the solution is, because then I get into the question, right? Everyone complains about what's going on at the border. Yes, the border is wide open. Yes, people are coming in. Yes, 10 million people here.
Yeah.
These are facts. We all know it, right? Yeah. To argue that is stupid.
Yes.
But the Democrats and the Republicans always fighting about the damn border. I got a bigger question. What do you do with the 10 million people that are already here? Why does no one have a solution for that? Isn't that more important? There's 10 million new people in this country. What are you going to do with them? What's the idea?
Well, I think the educated idea would be, let's create programs to assimilate, to educate, and to mobilize and deploy these individuals into working environments where they can make money for their families and support the American dream that is so espoused as part of the reason why they're here.
But Peter, now you sound like you are advocating bigger government.
I would not. Well, no. I would not task the government with this. I would task the local. I would task the states to take it on.
It would have to be a federal level at 10 million people.
Oh, I mean, when you say they have to, you're not wrong, because with this huge amount of people, you're never going to get agreements at the state level. You almost have to dictate it. It's like, dude, like there's 10 million people here that are already here. You know, forget the fact that there's more flooding in. They're already here. What do we do with these individuals? And oh my gosh, like if you look at the news and I've seen clips from some of the immigrants in New York, they're so upset.
Yeah.
They're not giving us food. They're not giving us shelter. They're not helping us out. Like, what the hell are we doing here? They're getting agitated and they're getting rowdy. Like, this is not a good, and especially since most of them are middle-aged, like 20 to 37-year-old individuals. I think I read something that the average age is in the mid-20s to mid-30s. So they're like at the prime of their life. They want to work. They want to do things. They want to earn money. They don't want to be sitting eating ham sandwiches out in the cold. And so we're in a really tough situation, and it's not getting any better because we have tens of thousands streaming through the border every single day.
And there is one segment of the country that says, let's just kick them all out. The problem with that is that it is physically impossible to mass remove 10 million people. Mm-hmm. It's just not possible. I don't care who says that they're going to do it. It's impossible. If they remove people, maybe they'll remove a few 100,000 over time.
And it'll just be a political thing, right? Like, oh, we're deporting them. You're not doing shit.
There is no way to remove 10 million people. There's no way to find 10 million people unless you start making government even bigger, unless you start giving more powers to the National Guard and military to go start knocking on people's doors. And the only way to remove 10 million people is that you'd have to start putting them in some sort of camp, an internment camp, so you can mass migrate them. You
just read my mind.
We talk about Japanese internment.
Yeah.
Like, it's one of the worst marks in U.S. history.
Yeah, we did that shit.
That was only 100,000 people.
Yeah.
Now you're talking about doing that with 10 million people? It's impossible.
But you just read my mind. We've had some of the largest growth, and I'm sure the internet sleuths will love this one. We've had the largest growth over the last 2 decades of FEMA camps. Like, some would say that these FEMA camps, if we go real radical, they're going to be putting all of us in these internment camps. But maybe these FEMA camps were actually created for the immigration crisis that we're dealing with. Maybe that's where we're going to put them. We're all going to put them in these internment camps, these FEMA camps. You don't think so?
I mean, if you even tried, do you know the outrage it would cause? Like, the political backlash of wrapping people up and throwing them in camps, like, you can't get away with that anymore.
We did that shit with the Japanese, yeah. I know. It's not a good look.
But it was hidden away. It was harder to find. Technology was different. Now, forget about it. There's no way. It would be a public outrage. Like, anyone that's associated with that would be crucified. It would be over.
Can I give you a counter argument, though? They did that in Australia during the COVID lockdowns. They put all these people in internment camps, and look what happened. Nothing.
Yeah, but
so maybe
United States, we got the guns. It's really hard to wrap people. Because imagine if you're going to put people in camps.
That's true.
It means someone from the government has to go start knocking on doors and taking. And imagine the one time that they're wrong, that they take the wrong person. Front page news. It's just political nightmare. I don't envision any scenario where they can do that. Right.
So can we agree that the current situation of these 10 million plus whatever the number is of current undocumented individuals in America it's a blight. It's a problem. We both agree with that.
It's a crisis.
It's a crisis. Mm-hmm. Why do you say that? Crisis seems like we have to act now.
I think so. Well, right now there's the idea that if you bring in illegal migrants, I'm just saying migrants or illegal. I don't know what to say.
Undocumented individuals.
If you bring in undocumented individuals, that the left and the liberals will weaponize them to vote in future elections.
Yeah.
That's the idea.
Well, California is making that clear. They're telling us that they're going to give them guns, they're going to give them voting rights, and they're going to make them police officers.
Which incentivizes the current administration to keep on bringing them in because they believe that the migrants, the undocumented individuals, will vote left. Right? However, we do know that most of these migrants that we've seen on the list that have the most people to spare are from more conservative areas of the world. What if you started converting the migrants first? What if the right reached out to them? They're here anyway, and you start converting them fast. Once the establishment figures out that the migrant vote is not 70% left, but it's like 50-50, and now they have to gamble, I bet you they shut down that border immediately.
So when you say convert them, that is a political idea, right? It's kind of social idea. We have to, like, if I take from Christian dogma, Christian doctrine, right? What is it to proselytize and convert an individual to Christianity when you're not helping them meet their basic needs? And so that would be my counter argument, is that all this conversion, left, right, Republican, Democrat, is all just bullshit, because at the end of the day, they're human, they have families, they have kids, they just want their basic needs met. Food, shelter, clothing, purpose. Right?
I would argue all they really want is purpose. Because if
we're
they have purpose,
already giving them cell phones and a $5,000 Visa card.
if they have purpose and they're between the age of 22 and 37 or whatever the age was, like if you give them purpose, they can figure it out. Most men in the world can. If you have a reason to be alive, most men in the world will fight for that reason.
Fair enough. So let's look at this because Will has it up. The District of Columbia and municipalities in 3 states allowed non-citizens to vote in local elections as of June 2023. California, Maryland, and Vermont. Deeply democratic.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, and we're talking local elections. However, I did see today that in order to get a mail-in ballot or write in a ballot via online in
you don't need an
California,
ID.
you don't need anything. All you gotta do is request it, or you can actually fill it out online.
It's crazy. But even the fact that it says non-citizens to vote in local elections, just take that. That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Doesn't make any sense. No industry, no company, if we were to scale down beyond, federal law, no company would have a non-employee vote on the board or vote on tactics and strategy for the company. It would never happen. You're not going to have someone who's not an employee vote and have power over you. That's crazy. So the fact that we have Vermont and we have California allowing non-citizens to vote, it doesn't register with me, Matt. What is going on? It doesn't make any sense.
And in New York City now, where you take the undocumented individuals and you go to the office, because in order to get your aid from the city, you need some sort of ID. So now you go and you become documented individuals because they're giving you an ID in order to collect your benefits, which is crazy because I swear they told me that requiring IDs for people is racist.
That's right. That's right. It's actually pretty racist to
How
ask for
dare
ID.
you ask people for IDs to vote because it's racist, but yet we are giving people's IDs. And I thought it was difficult to do. I thought they told me that gaining an ID was difficult.
Yeah, that was a big deal for like a long time.
It's so difficult to get an ID to vote,
Yeah.
but if you're undocumented, we will just give you documentation.
What do they just make up names? State constitutions on suffrage and citizenship. All states' constitutions mention United States citizenship when discussing who can vote in the state's elections. In 46 states, constitutional language discussing citizenship says who can vote, example, every citizen or all citizens, but does not state that non-citizens cannot vote. Ooh. In Arizona, Louisiana, North Dakota, and Ohio, the state constitutions provide that citizens not non-citizens have the right to vote.
Language semantics.
Wow.
Not wrong.
Not wrong.
Do you say all citizens can vote, shall vote, have the right to vote? But if you don't specifically say non-citizens cannot vote, which is...
And they didn't say anything about IDs there. So clearly you don't need an ID. You could
But
just
they're
be...
racist.
IDs are racist, guys. I remember that. I remember that being so hot and heavy on the news cycle.
Math
that IDs
and
are
IDs
racist.
are racist.
You're right. Right.
You can't do both.
Right. Oregon. Have you seen the Oregon's new laws that have been passed in Oregon, making it so that all the students no longer need to pass math and like English and algebra, like because it's racist. It's racist to know 2 + 2 is 4. But in Harvard, there's an article I read that 2 + 2 = 5. Did you see that one?
She probably copied it.
Oh, it's probably plagiarized. That's right. That's right. That's right. So can I posit a really tough question?
Yes.
This is something that's been concerning me about the border crisis and these 10 million plus. So there has been sufficient evidence that we have lots of migrants from Africa, clearly, from the Middle East, clearly, and now huge swaths of Chinese and Asians coming across the border. What happens when we go to war? Let me a very simple question. If we go to war with Africa, probably not going to happen. But if we go to war with the Middle East, if we go to war with China over China-Taiwan, are the undocumented individuals that just crossed the border into America, are they going to fight for America or are they going to fight for China?
I think they're going to do what they do every war. If you sign up to join the military and jump into the front line, we fast track your citizenship.
No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the undocumented individuals who are deeply politically nationalistic and deeply aligned with the nationalism of China. Let's just use that as an example. So you have all these Chinese middle-aged men of fighting age coming across the border undocumented, and we decide, which is a hot topic, we decide that we're going to go to war with China because China's going to invade Taiwan. If you are one of the undocumented Chinese middle-aged 32-year-olds and you toe the party line, you love Xi Jinping, you love everything communism, you love China, are you going to fight for America or are you going to be activated in America to fight against Americans in America because they're fighting China? That is something that concerns me, Matt.
If they love their country so much, I don't think they leave and go the route that did it.
What if they weren't?
Now you're talking about spies being planted, sent, etc. I think that's an outlier. But for 10 million people, that's definitely not a majority.
Let's put the equation together. You are part of a ghetto of Chinese men, and there's 5,000 of you, because we've heard of these towns that are being overrun by.
If you live in a Chinese ghetto and your solution to that is I'm going to go to America, you are not happy with the system that you grew up in.
Fair, but let's just say that you were pushed by, these hands behind the veil and saying, hey, we need to import all of you guys over here, and you're essentially creating these cells, and we're going to call upon you at the right time, and we're going to activate you at the right time. I mean, that concerns me, Matt, because a lot of not a lot, but some of these individuals who are undocumented, they're coming across the border, hate America, actually.
So that's what we were told during the Cold War with the Russians. Mm-hmm. That's what we were told after 9/11 with, Arabs. And as much as we say that's a possibility, there's actually nothing to show that actually happened. So if we look historically, although we push that narrative of kind of fear porn, there's nothing to back up the claim that would happen.
Let me ask you.
Because it hasn't happened.
It hasn't happened, but there are statistics and there is data that shows that a lot of these undocumented, not a lot, I keep saying that's not right. A few of these undocumented individuals are clearly creating a lot of crime, rape, and pillaging. So if we were to take that idea and say, okay, you're raping people, you're pillaging, you're stealing, like you don't love this, you just want to take advantage of this America. Like you don't love America. You just want to pillage America. Those individuals can be the organizers of all the lukewarm individuals who are undocumented here as well.
I think those individuals.
I mean, I think it's a pretty good argument.
No, I get it, and it's not saying that I support illegal migration or this type of migration at all. However, I'm just trying to deal with the problems that we currently have, which I think more people need to do. How do you deal with the problems that currently exist rather than complain about the border? Because the border is wide open, and if they want to shut it down, all they have to do is say, hey, we're closed, you can't come in anymore.
Which I find is so crazy. That's like
to close the border
solution.
would take all Joe Biden, because he is the president, would have to say, hey, world, borders are closed, we're not letting you in, and then they can hire 200 FBI agents to dress as migrants like they did at January 11th, dressed as Trump supporters. They could hire 200 FBI agents, start them at the wall, have them start walking backwards and be like, where are you going? ¿Qué pasa? And they would be like, hey, they're not letting anyone in. Might as well turn around. And eventually people are like, all right, like everyone's walking backwards. I guess it is closed. Let's go back.
Orale.
You can gather up 200 FBI agents dressed as Donald Trump supporters to be inside the Capitol at January 6th. If you can do that, you can put 200 heading the other direction from the border. Do you know what? Use the same guys you used the first time.
Yeah.
I don't think you can use the same guys. They don't look the part.
Dude, to put them a mask.
Dude, when they're all wearing the balaclavas.
And the migrants coming to the border look like everybody else.
Trust me.
It is not one look.
Yeah.
You just have them go in the direction, be like, where are you guys going? Dude, they're closed. You know, like you could go, but I'm telling you, like we tried.
Dude, they're closed.
And
¿Qué pasó?
And the funny thing about mob mentality is that enough people start walking the reverse direction, the rest go. All Joe Biden has to say is, hey, we're closed, and then use your fake 200 FBI agents. You could end this situation immediately if you wanted to.
Seems
they
like
choose to not end the situation.
Seems like you have an itch to scratch with this whole January 6th and all these FBI agents, huh?
It's so annoying, isn't it? Because I watched the interview with Clay Higgins and Tucker Carlson.
Yeah.
And in it, he is part of the...
he's a congressman, isn't he?
He's a congressman with the Oversight Committee.
Yes.
And he's reviewed all the January 6th evidence. And he was like, look, we have very good evidence, reason to believe that there were 200 plus FBI agents, not only in the crowd, but they were already in the Capitol and they let people in.
Yes.
And he asked Tucker, have you ever been to the Capitol? And Tucker's like, yeah, of course I have.
Yeah. I've been to the Capitol. By the way, the Capitol's pretty confusing.
Yes. And he's like, the Capitol is a labyrinth.
It is.
You don't just break into a random window and be like, oh, look at me, I'm at Nancy Pelosi's office. It doesn't happen by chance. Someone has to guide you there.
If a lot of those offices are unmarked.
Yeah. You don't just show up at the vice president's office.
Yeah.
Someone has to know the route.
Yeah. So actually, you make a strong case for 200 FBI agents at January 6th were organized enough to lead this entire, crowd of individuals into these areas. You actually make a good case that only a small group of people can organize thousands of people. So that could be a solution for the border crisis. It could be also a solution for activating 10 million people that are already here, that are pissed off, that aren't happy, or unwell, not fed, not supported, lack purpose, and if we go to war with Afghanistan or Saudi Arabia, which is in the news recently, we go to war with them, then maybe these 200 or so could activate and actually create like war inside Texas or war inside Missouri or something like that. Could happen too, right?
Nothing is impossible, although I don't know. I feel like
I don't want to be negative Nancy here, but it is a concern of mine. I'm trying to think as an individual, Matt, like just me. If I was sold a bill of goods, whoever it was Soros, doesn't matter, some handler, who cares? I came from Niger. I came from Afghanistan, and I made this trek, which probably cost me an arm and a leg, my entire life savings, and 9 months of my life. Like going on this boat, 3 months to Argentina, and then coming up the thing, and then almost getting stabbed and killed and robbed by some handler. Finally made it over here past Texas, and they put me in this bus, and they bus me over to the middle bumfuck nowhere, Missouri. Like, what am I doing here, Matt? Like, listen, I came alone. I didn't come with my family. If you're a refugee, generally you come with families. If you're going to war, you come by yourself. So I look at that, and if I'm an individual, I'm pissed off. I'm in the middle of bumfuck nowhere, Missouri. There's no opportunity for me. None of the locals are helping me. They seem like they're racist or prejudiced against me, and all I'm getting are ham sandwiches every other day. And then some organizer who's well-spoken says, you know what, guys, I have an opportunity for you here. We're going to give you an allowance, but you're going to have to do some nefarious shit. I probably would end up doing some nefarious shit, Matt.
Which is a problem of the crisis of what they created. Because these are all logical conclusions of what could potentially happen. This is what happens when you bring in 10 million people. Bad shit will happen.
So when's the fire starter going to happen? That's the problem. What's going to be the fire starter? Is it going to be war with, Palestine, a war with Saudi Arabia, a war with China?
It just has to be war within itself. It doesn't even have to be an external war. They just got to be, all you got to do is take all the ants, throw them in one area, and throw one variable in, and everything scatters, right? It's very easy to do. So that's why we need to be more cautious about the people that are here and figure out a way to deal with the people that are here now. Because I know that most people don't want to hear, let's give them handouts. And I agree. But if you don't help them out at all, it could create chaos too. Just saying, I don't want to give them anything, that doesn't actually solve a problem.
Yep.
We have a real problem on our hands, which is there are 10 million people that have nothing that showed up inside these borders. What do you do with them now? Can't kick them out. Can't let them starve. What do you do? And you can't just give them free shit. It's an impossible equation to solve.
I have a solution.
Yeah.
I think you give all the undocumented workers, you give them a path to citizenship. And the path to citizenship is, this is a meme. The path to citizenship is called Alien versus Predator. Have you seen this meme?
No.
So it's called Alien versus Predator. If you kill a pedophile, then you get citizenship.
Well, good thing there's a list.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. You give all these illegal aliens a gun,
bounty hunting,
and you say, "Hey, look, the path to citizenship is really simple. We are overrun with pedophiles. You kill a legitimate pedophile, you're an automatic citizen."
The problem is obviously collateral damage.
Come on, man.
Sorry, ruining the party.
Let's get rid of all the pedos, man.
So, okay. In the last Trump presidency, he talked about building new cities.
He did, yeah.
What if you took them and you said, hey, if you go and work in the middle of Missouri where nobody lives, we're going to build a city. It's going to take 3 years. If you work it off, we'll let you stay.
Well, we have all these Chinese that are coming in, and they can build entire cities in like 4 months.
Yeah, but you get people that don't speak the same language, and you involve American project management, and it could take like 10 years.
You're not wrong.
And you involve the federal government, it may take 20 years.
You're not wrong.
And those buildings collapse anyway.
Yeah.
In China. Yeah.
What are they called? What are those buildings called? They're made with like, not mud.
Chopsticks?
There's a certain term for all those buildings that are crumbling. Right? They're all falling apart all the time. Anyway.
So that would be an idea. If we build new cities, let's put them in the middle of nowhere, because you're going to build a new city in the middle of nowhere.
Well, we did with Vegas. Vegas is a city in the middle of nowhere.
However, if Trump got elected and he said, hey, I have a solution for the migrant issue, we're going to build cities and put in work, everyone would say, oh my gosh, look, Trump is a slave owner. He is encouraging indentured servitude. It's like, all right, we had a solution, but now you're going to call it racist, because of course they will.
No, we already have indentured servitude. It's called our prison system.
It's called life.
Matt's not salty. Hey, that kind of reminds me. Matt needs to get paid, guys. So hit the thumbs up, comment, let everybody know. Join the Discord. Matt, we need to figure out ways to monetize Matt, because he's getting salty now. He's just projecting his own insecurities.
So I think that's the real problem that we face. There's no actual solution. They've created a problem, and their solution will be that if the Democrats hold power, their solution will be we just need to just give them more money and create more government and create more social programs and give more handouts, because the reality is that if you don't have an alternative solution, that's actually the only solution. That's the unfortunate part of it.
Yeah.
They create a problem where their solution of big government and big spending, their solution to the actual problem, the only solution that actually exists is their solution, which is a horrible solution, But again, the only solution. Someone needs to come up with a better solution.
Yeah.
Who's going to come up with one?
The American taxpayer cannot continue to pay all of these expenses. I mean, notwithstanding all the money we're sending overseas, which is redonkulous, Matt. It's ridiculous. We have bad roads here in Gwinnett County. Like, please, fix the roads here. Like, fix the education here. Like, why are we sending billions of dollars overseas? So I think you and I can both agree we need to close the border, like, right now.
Yes.
Agreed. So if we could just get the right and the left, Democrats and Republicans, to just agree on that one thing, that would be one less issue. Like, you've stopped the bleeding. Okay, we've stopped the bleeding now. If we stop the bleeding, let's figure out what to do with these people.
Yeah. Nobody
It's not
wants
helping
to
that
talk about
we're continuing to
or
bleed.
even propose a solution
Yeah.
to the people that are here. And I think of the border being open, people that are already here is just as big, if not a bigger problem. Because right now, the longer you wait on how to figure it out and the longer you make them sit in ghettos and tents, the more agitated they get. And then we get to the situation that you described, which is people are pissed off. And now all it takes is one guy to rally them up and create chaos.
One guy. That's all it takes is one guy to be like, you know what? We got like 7,000 people in here. I think I can organize all you guys. That you don't want that happening.
Solution number one, close the border, take the 200 January 6th FBI agents, have them walk the other direction. Solution one. Solution two.
Matt for president. Matt for president.
Solution two is figure out how to get these people here to work.
Yes.
You can't just let them sit in tents.
Yes.
Because it's just going to piss them off.
I agree.
And create chaos.
I agree. Put them to work. We can figure that out. But you and I agree. Close the border. Put them to work. Help us build an amazing nation, right? I don't care where you came from. You're already here. Is what it is. You already here. So let's put you to work. Let's help you help us help you help us. How about that?
And let's be clear. The migrants that are here, legally, illegally, undocumented, if you put them to work, they will work more than 113 days Congress works.
And probably the liberals.
Thank you, everybody. Have a great day.
That was good.
It was good.
I enjoyed that.
Yeah. I think that was